This is your latest Manchester United news. Lots to talk about this morning, but we're back in the Champions League. It's PSG day, it's Champions League day, and that is the big positive. Yes, I'm not doing an impression of Wan-Bissaka there. Yes, we have got another story of off-field antics at Manchester United, which, look, to be honest with you, I think if you play for Manchester United, there's more interest and there's definitely more drive from the mainstream media to go and find out what you're doing in your personal life than if you play for Burnley. So Manchester United are always going to be more targeted in their personal lives than you would be if you played for other clubs. However, I think that, some people are saying fair play, lad, what he's been up to. Others are saying, well, it's not a good look for Manchester United. I think from my point of view, we'll talk about it in a few minutes. I think the thing for me is if you're performing on the pitch, it doesn't matter what's happening off the pitch as long as what you're doing is legal. And also, I think with some of our young players, it's a double-edged sword. You can definitely say they're young lads, they're in relationships, but, they're doing other things. They're in their early 20s, they're teenagers. Is that not what people do these days? But on the other hand, young lads' stresses off the pitch hits the mainstream media. Those pressures can then impact on how they perform on the pitch, and that's the thing. And this is why they need responsible people around them looking after them, because some of the decisions some of our players have made over the last few months have not been good ones, whether it's in a car, on holiday, or hotel rooms. So look, we'll talk about that in a bit. But do you think Shaw can play centre-back in a back four, says Ewan Black? This is how I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should line up against PSG. Now, obviously, in the preview yesterday, I said that, I think a back five. The reality is, when you look at the situation, there is no Eric Bailly, there is no Harry Maguire, there's no Jones and Rojo, which is a bonus. But our centre-back options, basically, are Lindelof, Fosu Mensah, Twansebi, and Luke Shaw. And maybe you could play McTominay there. But if you want to... The Man United's strength, when you look at this squad, is midfield and attack. We've got so many midfield options, whether it's McTominay, Fred, Matic, Mata, Van der Beek, Pogba, Bruno, Rashford, Martial, Dan James. I mean, attacking and midfield options. And then at centre-back, we've basically got Lindelof. So why would you play three centre-backs when you're going to have to, you're basically forcing people to play where they've not played for a while, or then it's not their position? Why play three centre-backs when you've not got any centre-backs? Play a system that plays to where you've got the most depth and most talent. And for me, that's the midfield. Twansebi could play in this game, but he's not played a Premier League game for a year. And I don't think he's played any game for a year, apart from under-23s at the weekend. So chucking him in against PSG, if it goes wrong, everyone's going to say, well, you've got that wrong. Fosu Mensah could play there, but it's not even his position. Is he even a right back at this level? Well, look, Wan-Bissaka's got enough problems without putting him to right centre-back. To me, look, we're going to have to take a risk tonight. Lindelof's going to play. Now, if you play a back three, you're going to play Lindelof, Luke Shaw left-sided centre-back, and Twansebi unfit, Scott McTominay as a centre-back. You can do that. Personally, I think if you play three centre-backs, then you're losing a player further up the pitch. You're back five, and then you can only play five midfielders and attackers combined. If you play a back four, you can play six midfielders and attackers combined. So I would go with that team on the left. I would go Telles at left back, Wan-Bissaka at right back, Luke Shaw left-sided centre-back, Lindelof right-sided centre-back, but then I would protect them with two centre defence midfielders, because this is where you can start using the players where you've got a lot of players. Like Matic and Fred, I would play as two holding midfielders, shielding the back four. And I would make that back four play quite deep, especially the centre-backs. They could play a deeper line with two centre defensive midfielders in front of them. Wan-Bissaka and Telles can then push on. And what happens is Matic covers the left side if Telles pushes on, and Fred covers the right side if Wan-Bissaka pushes on. So basically Fred and Matic become very important. They shield that back four, but they also allow the width to get forward if they can. And then Luke Shaw and Lindelof just sit and do their job. Then you've got Bruno obviously sitting in the hole. You've got Rashford to the left. I'd play Van der Beek to the right, and I'd play Martial up front. Now I agree with Mata playing off the right, but can Juan Mata do what he did against Newcastle on Saturday night and then do it in Paris on Tuesday night? I don't think Mata can do that at his age. So Van der Beek certainly can. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, you know what, I don't like that team, let's play a back five. But if you play a back five, you lose Fred out of that team. And I think that the two centre defensive midfield, the midfield battle's got to be won. Look, if Mbappe or Neymar produce something amazing because they're amazing players, they're going to produce something amazing whether you've got two centre-backs or three, because that's the sort of players that they are. I just don't think we should play a back five. I think he will. I think that's probably the most likely thing to do. But as I said, if you play a back five, your three centre-backs are going to have to be constructed of Luke Shaw, Lindelof, and either Fosu Mensah or Twansebi, and then you're going to have to drop one of your centre defensive midfielders and probably Van der Beek to bring Pogba back in and play more of a 5-3-2. I like this. I like the 4-2-3-1. I think it works far better. I think Rashford can certainly help out Telles. Van der Beek can help Wan-Bissaka. And also, if you do play a back five, we haven't played a back five for a long time. Try and keep some familiarity. Try and say, look, this is not far off what we played on Saturday. Back four, wide players helping out the fullbacks, plenty of bodies in the midfield. I think if we go to the back five, and then who's going to help out Wan-Bissaka and Telles with the width? Because, you know, Martial and probably Rashford would be playing as a front two. I think this is the way I would go, and I think it's the brave way to go, and it's the right way to go, because ultimately, if you play those three centre-backs, you're chucking one player in out of position, whether it's Fosu Mensah, Scott McTominay, or Axel Twansebi, who's not played for a year. You're dropping a weak player in there, or a risk player, not a weak player. You're dropping a risk player in there. With my team on that side, there is no risk player. You know, all those players have played first-team football at a good level, and yeah, I think we've got to play two holding midfielders, and I think Fred is very mobile. That's why I went for him over McTominay. And I think Matic, you know, didn't play at the weekend. He can do a good job. It gives Bruno the freedom, and I think it makes us more of an attacking team, but also more of a defensive team. I think that those two CDMs shielding the back four, covering each side for the fullbacks, and then ahead of them, you basically, effectively, instead of a back five, you're playing a more balanced back six. But then the front four become a very offensive front four. Whereas in a back five, I think you're so reliant on your fullbacks getting forward, which they're not going to do. So you're basically playing a back five and then a holding midfield. So that's six. Whereas, and obviously you've got a front two, but your midfield two next ahead of Matic, Bruno and whoever become quite defensive as well. So you're basically just playing with two attackers. Whereas with this, I think you can play with four. And I think we can win this game. I do. I think PSG are a good side, but I mean, look, I might be proved wrong later on tonight, but I don't think the gap between Manchester United and PSG is as big as some people think. We are definitely underdogs, but I don't think it's as big as we think. Give Fosu a chance at centre-back. The guy can defend, says Rudy. Well, he's certainly got the pace to do it. Hi, Mark. I've convinced a few Liverpool fans that Woodward is responsible for Van Dijk's injury as he didn't sell Romero to Everton. Thoughts? Love the show, says Lloyd Jones. I mean, it's an interesting one. It is. We need to keep our shape in the game. I like the thought of a back four. And Brighton almost got a draw when we played a back five and we were playing our natural centre-back, says Rack. And Fosu and Scott can play as a centre-back, says Alex K. Well, I like this. I mean, there's quite... Shaw as a centre-back is a risk as well, says All Here. I think because we didn't buy a centre-back in the summer, then we've left ourselves in a risk situation. And it's interesting that some people like what I've gone with a back four and two holding midfielders, where some want to play a back five. But as I said, I thought about this morning and I looked at the squad, and the squad is full of midfielders. You know, as I said, Mata, Van der Beek, Pogba, Bruno, McTominay, Matic, Fred. You've got 7 players there. 7 players for 3 spots. Whereas we're going to play 3 centre-backs when we've only got 2. You know, Twansebi and Lindelof are the only natural centre-backs we've got. And we're going to play 3 centre-backs. And then we've got 7 midfielders and we're only going to play 3 when we could play 4 or 5. So I personally think United need to play to their strength. And I don't think a back 5 in this game with the players that we've got is a good idea. Because also, whatever you think about Harry Maguire, is Lindelof a leader? No, he's not. Is Luke Shaw a leader? No, he's not. Is Twansebi a leader? No. So you're going to play a back 5 that needs to be coordinated without a leader in the back 5. So I think a back 4 and let the midfield do the shielding of that back 4 is the way to go. And look, ultimately, why are we playing a back 5 anyway? You know, we're going to have to deal with the threat of Neymar, Mbappe and Di Maria regardless. But the game can still be won and lost in the midfield. And I think that's where Manchester United need to work. What I would also say is that Mengi can't play and won't play. What I would also say is I totally expect Paul Pogba to start in this game. And where you put Paul Pogba in that team, I don't know. I wouldn't play Pogba next to Matic because he's not going to shield the back four like Fred will. We know Bruno's playing because he's captain, and you're not going to play Pogba as a right-sided midfielder where Van der Beek can play. So I don't think we're going to see that team. Because I think Pogba will start. Whether he should do or not is another matter. But that, to me, is the right team to go with, because I think the back five is going to nullify our threat big time. Would you write off a diamond, says that Jack Bishop? Well, in essence, Jack, that can be a diamond. That can be a diamond right there. You could just pull Matic as a CDM, Fred right-sided midfielder, Donny van der Beek left-sided midfielder, and Bruno at the head of the diamond. So you can adapt it. And what I liked about that team is that if we were really under the cosh, you could go to a back five and just drop Matic into the back five and put Fred as the holding midfielder and pull Bruno and Van der Beek back and push Rashford up as a two. So I mean that might be a reason not. I nearly did put McTominay in there and take Fred out, because I was like, well, actually, if we need to go to a back five, you can just put McTominay in the back five and let Matic hold the midfield. So I'd like to see some fluidity in the way that we're playing, but I do think he will go with a back five, and I'm not against it. I just think when I looked at that squad this morning, I was like, bloody hell, we really don't. I mean, look, I'm really glad Rojo and Jones aren't there. But when I looked at it and was like, well, Rojo and Jones aren't there. Lindelof's the only centre-back, really, because Twansebi's been out for a year, and yet we're on about playing three centre-backs, and we haven't even got three centre-backs. So, and then, as I said, you look at the midfield and you go, wow, we've got so many midfield options. Why are we limiting ourselves to only starting three when we've got seven, and they're all very good, experienced players? And yet we're going to play with an inexperienced back three. It doesn't make sense to me. I mean, he could drop McTominay in there. Mark, do you think that Bruno will be the captain for the season, seeing as he's captain for this game, says Reality Gamers? No, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a very loyal man, and I think he will go back to Maguire when Maguire is fit. And thank God Slabhead isn't playing. We need as much pace as possible, or Neymar and Mbappe will tear us apart, says Aidan G. I mean, look, Harry Maguire would have started this game, and he would have had the captain's armband on it. Does it definitely... Does it cost us? It depends how well the speed players that we've got are going to play. It depends how well Luke Shaw's going to play, Telles is going to play, Wan-Bissaka's going to play, Lindelof's going to play, and the other centre-back's going to play, because they're going to be more mobile than Maguire, but can they read the game and make the tackles better than Maguire? That's going to be the important thing. Certainly having more pace helps us. Darren Cox says, I think our midfield can win the day. I would go for very similar to Newcastle game where we play all our best midfielders, even coming off the bench. And I agree with you, Darren. I think that's why... For me, I've gone with that team on the left. I don't like the idea of three centre-backs when we haven't got enough centre-backs. It's too big a risk. I would go for swamping the midfield, try and get as many of our good midfielders on the pitch. And as I said, I would have started Mata in this game. I just don't think Mata can play Newcastle and PSG. But I do think Mata will start against Chelsea, and he's got every right to. Those defending Pogba for talking about Real Madrid should watch Cody being asked about Liverpool interest. That's how you show respect for your club, says G Don. I haven't seen it, but I presume he didn't say it was his dream to play for Liverpool. But just talking about the media very quickly, because I'm not going to avoid it. It is a Man United news show. It's not really hit the mainstream media, so we must be a little bit careful because it's social media. But I woke up this morning. I fell asleep really early last night, actually, about 11 o'clock, which is quite early for me. So I didn't see it hit social media last night. But a lot of things about Wan-Bissaka. Now, I'm not going to go into it too deep, but... my perception of Wan-Bissaka was that he was in a long-term relationship, very much a sort of grounded, not into social media and out and about sort of guy. I know a couple of people who sort of know him from the Palace days and said he's a really humble, quiet, focused on family sort of guy. I've got no reason to believe that was true or not true. You then see all this social media stuff, and it looks like he might have been having a little bit of fun. Which, as a young lad in his early 20s, doesn't, you don't, if you play for Manchester United, you don't have to come with a wife and kids and, you've never done anything wrong in your life and you go to bed at 10 o'clock every night and you don't drink. I mean, I don't think we can't live in that world. And I think sometimes the mainstream media will paint that picture. Oh my God, he's had an affair. Kick him out of the country. Well, no, I mean, look, he's a young lad. If he's not in a happy relationship, or even if he is and he just wants to have a dabble, then that's down to him. If he gets caught, then as a Manchester United player, it's going to get all over social media, all over the mainstream media. And I just think that when you're doing these sort of things and you're allowing the girl or boy to take pictures of you, then where do you think those pictures are going to end up? There's a very big risk they might end up on mainstream media. So look, it's naivety, it's silly, it's like Greenwood in Iceland, isn't it? You know, it is silly. But for me, it's always been the case. I mean, look at the Ryan Giggs, one of our greatest ever players, and look what Ryan Giggs did. I mean, if you're talking about morals and family values and everything like that, that's out the window with that, isn't it? But did people boo Giggs and say get out of the club? No, because ultimately, does everybody want to be friends with Ryan Giggs? Well, probably a lot of you do actually, but ultimately for me, it was always about Ryan Giggs on a football pitch. What do you do for Manchester United? And my God, he did some amazing things. So judging a player for what they do in their private life, it's like the message, isn't it? You know, never meet your heroes because you might end up being disappointed. And that I've met a lot of footballers, I've met a lot of celebrities, and that is really true. It doesn't make me not dislike them for what they've done in a football shirt, and it doesn't make me dislike them for what they've done in films and stuff. But they're playing a part. They're playing a part as a Manchester United footballer with their feet because that's their talent. It's not necessarily what their morals are. And we've got to be very, very careful of judging players based on what they've done off the field, unless it's something, you know, serious or illegal. In that case, then look, that's going to impact on how they're, you know, how a club, you know, should a football club be employing a footballer just because they're good, but, you know, they've murdered somebody or something like that, then you've got to make a decision there. But a footballer who's been and cheated on their girlfriend or wife, okay, it might not be something you like, but it doesn't really prevent them playing for Manchester United, does it? So I think we've got to be very careful about that, because people love to celebrate other people's misfortune, and I don't know why that is. But the thing I would say about Wan-Bissaka is, it's always puzzled me how up until lockdown he was absolutely focused, energetic, my player of the year for Manchester United. Then after lockdown, he comes out and he's about as useful as ice cream solar panels. Like he's just got no energy, absolutely nothing. So look, the thing, and this is where it comes down to, you know, there's all these rumours about Mason Greenwood again. We know what happened with Harry Maguire. We've now got this with Wan-Bissaka. There's other things going on in that club as well that will probably hit the press. And the reality is, does it go on in other clubs? Yes. Is Manchester United out of control? Yes. But it's not out of control because younger players are doing what they're doing. Manchester United's out of control because it lacks leadership. It does lack leadership. From top to bottom, Manchester United lacks leadership. And when you've got lack of leadership and discipline, then players will, and not just football players, will just think, well, you know what? I'll do this, I'll do that. Manchester United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer are desperately trying to instill some discipline into that football club. And if you're going to do stuff, be sensible about it. Don't be taking photographs of yourself. Don't let it impact on your football career, because whatever you do, let's give a hypothetical here. There might be a Manchester United player out there who is single, looking to mingle, and every night of the week he's mingling, right? He's out there mingling. Like, obviously that's not a good thing in the COVID world, but if we're not in a COVID world, is that a bad thing? You know, George Best was one of the best players in the world. So look, what you're doing in your single time, respect what you're doing as a footballer. You paid a lot of money to play for Manchester United. It is a big, big achievement. You've earned it. Don't disrespect it. You know, don't be out till 3 o'clock in the morning getting drunk and stuff like that. Get yourself to bed at a decent time. Respect yourself. Respect the club. And that's it. If you want to go and sleep with different women or men or whatever, like, that's up to you. But respect your job, respect the club, and respect yourself. And that's all it is. And I think the problem we've got is all this stuff that goes on, does it impact on the performance of a player? And in the case of Wan-Bissaka, I've got to say, over the last 3 months, he's been puzzlingly bad. And you wonder, has he had some exterior pressures, maybe something to do with what's broken there or something else? And that's when it becomes a problem for Manchester United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, is that if players' performance start to drop because of what's happening off the field, that's when it's a problem. What they're doing in their off the field really isn't any of our concern. It's not. You can have an opinion on it, but it's not. What they do on the field is where they can be critiqued. And this goes back to Harry Maguire again. Harry Maguire at the weekend, I saw a lot of people, social media people, even family members of Harry, which is absolutely fine, saying, look, this is what happens, don't doubt him, he's a strong guy, this, that and the other. And I'm like, oh, I like that, that's good. But don't start tweeting, I told you so. Don't start tweeting people who've been negative about him are wrong, because most people have been negative about him because his performances have been crap. Absolutely crap. He cost us a game against Spurs. Like, he's been crap on the pitch. What he does off the pitch, realistically, it's gonna get discussed. But realistically, it's what you do on the pitch. And I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer needs to be very, very careful of that, because he's got a lot of young talent at Manchester United, and that young talent is going to get targeted by young talent, if you know what I mean. And they're young, so they're going to be tempted by that, because ultimately, most of you would be tempted by that if you're out in a nightclub or whatever, and or you're sat at home and you got all these hot chicks, or blokes or whatever, and let's be equal. I don't know, but like they're all rocking up in you, sliding into your DMs. I think that's what they call it. You're going to get temptation, aren't you? That's the way it is. But we cannot have it impacting on what happens on the pitch. And I think, you know, there might be 2 or 3 players in the Premier League who are the best 2 or 3 players in the Premier League, and you don't even know what they're up to in their private life, because they're delivering on the pitch, and that is the most important thing. And look, you look at social media today, and there's a lot of people high-fiving Wan-Bissaka, saying he just wanted to smash it. I'm talking about his goal at the weekend. That's what he said. So there's a lot of people high-fiving that. But ultimately, it's got to be about football. And there is no doubt in my mind that Aaron Wan-Bissaka over the last 3 months has not been anywhere near his best. Now, that might just be a drop in form. It might be something to do with what's going on. So I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's got his work cut out, because Manchester United is always a high-profile club. I don't think necessarily Manchester United have got any more problems than other clubs have got. I just think when you play for Manchester United, it's like Ander Herrera yesterday. When you play for another Premier League club, you play for another Premier League club. When you play for Manchester United, you play for Manchester United. It's not just a Premier League club. Everybody's interested in Manchester United. The sad truth is, if you are a young female that sleeps with a Manchester United player, then there will be news outlets out there that they know they can ring up and say, I've got pictures, I've done this, I know he's in a relationship, how much are you going to pay me? And people can say that's disgusting, but that is the world. You know, there's newspapers, Sunday newspapers, that thrived on this for decades. So Manchester United players have got to be careful. It's not about criticising them for doing what they do. I think they've just got to be managed in the right way and realise that they're the victim in this. You will be played. You might get Instagram DMs of somebody in their knickers or their pants, and they're going, do you want to slide round my house? And you go, oh yeah, I'll have that. But you're the victim of that, because ultimately you might go and do that. They might get a few snaps of you. You might say, you know what, it was a one night thing, and then, you know, they're pissed off, but they've got the photos, and suddenly they're all over social media, or they're in the national newspaper. So, and then you're dealing with all that stress for that one night of passion, you know. So, I think you know, Manchester United footballers have got to be careful, because they're living the life. You're living the life, and you know, fair play. But the trouble is, for that 5 minutes or however long you last, it's great, but the next 5 weeks could be a bloody nightmare, because the press will go for you and social media will go for you. So, but they're young lads. That's the thing. And then when they're going for them, are they? You know, it's like any stress. Is that impacting on them on the pitch? And that's the thing. And then that's where it hits us as United fans, because we want to see the best of whatever player that might be being impacted on this. And they're professional sports people, and any successful professional sports person will tell you, yeah, what you do on the pitch is really, or wherever it is, very important, but what you do off the pitch feeds into that. And you know, I mean, I remember watching this podcast with this cyclist the other week, and he was saying that, you know, it was most of his time not cycling was spent almost meditating the perfect race, and removing all negativity, removing any fear that, you know, he wouldn't get the time that he wanted, or that something would go wrong, or that he'd collide with somebody else. It was just going through 5 minutes a day. He would sit there and just go through the perfect race, second for second. So much of high-level sport is in the head, and if you've got exterior stressors, then it's going to impact. You know, 1% drop-off in the Premier League can really expose you. Do you get lots of girls sliding into your DMs, says Robert McCormick? I don't even know how to use my DMs on Insta, so I might get a lot of girls and boys sliding into there. I don't know. But what I'm saying is, we can all make a joke out of it. We can all, and I want to do that, because look, life's for living. We're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time. And I think we can all, as I say, we're all judge, executioner and everything like that when it comes to other people's mishaps and misfortune. And there is an obsession. You know, this is nothing new. This is not social media. This has been going on since News of the World on a Sunday morning when I was like, you know, growing up. I used to see it on the table and it would be this sex scandal, that sex scandal. We've lived in a world like this for all of my life where people love to knock people down. People love to scoop private stories on people. I mean, we had all the phone hacking stuff, didn't we? Disgusting, absolutely disgusting. So, you know, these things are going to happen. It's not the end of the world. What bothers me is Manchester United Football Club, and what bothers me is those players as players. What they do in their private life, crack on. As long as you're not harming anybody legally, then crack on. But what you're doing on a football pitch, don't waste the chance. Don't waste the opportunity, because you know what? You'll be done by your time you're 32. Then you can slide into as many DMs as you want to, and you'll still be able to do it. You'll still be able to do it, but you've got about 10 years playing for Manchester United if you're lucky. 10 years it'll fly by, bang. Especially when you're playing professional football, getting paid to do the thing that everyone loves to do. Don't waste that 10 years pissing about drinking or in hotel rooms or acting a knobhead. Be the best player you can be, and don't get taken for a ride by all the hangers-on and all the people who just want a bit of you. You're the victim in this. You think you're the winner in this. You think, oh, look at me, I'm such and such footballer on this much. Oh, like, I walk in a club and everyone wants me. Would they want you if you weren't Manchester United's number 10 or number 9 or number 4 or whatever? No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't. If you were some builder, you know, you might pull a few, but you'll get it. It's like Robbie Williams said. Every time I had people coming after me, he said words to this effect. I always thought, are they here for me, Robbie Williams from Take That, or are they here for Robbie Williams? And the honest answer is they're here for Robbie Williams from Take That, aren't they? They're here because you're a celebrity. They want a piece of you. You're like a cake. They want a piece of you, and they might spit you out afterwards. So you've got to be clever. Don't fall into the celebrity bubble of, oh, look at me, I'm amazing, I can do what I want. You can do what you want because people want a piece of you. And they want a piece of you because you're a Manchester United footballer. So it's about growing up. But these lads are young lads. And they need people around them, and hopefully people like Bruno Fernandes, Paul Pogba, the more experienced players who are more settled can help these players and be leaders. And I always said this about the class of 92, and Gary Neville said it as well. When we came into the team as young lads, it already had Roy Keane, Peter Schmeichel, Steve Bruce, Eric Cantona, Dennis Irwin. When you come into a team as a young lad at Man United for the last few years, you come in and you're the great hope. There's no real leaders above you. And what I think we're getting to a point now is that we may be getting that. Pogba being dropped will be the perfect message for big name players, that if you don't perform, you'll be dropped no matter how big this game is, says Pranay. Exactly. Well, look, I'm really excited about this game tonight. I can't wait for the watch along. The city of Paris, the city of love. Oh, je t'aime. Let's hope. Let's not talk about that. Actually, what we've just been going on about. Get the lads excited. But on a serious note, very big game, real big opportunity. Solskjaer can really sit down a lot of people tonight. PSG are one of the best teams in the world. If we can go there, and they have got Neymar and they have got Mbappe, if we can go there and give a good account of ourselves, it's a real stepping stone. And a good account of ourselves could be a 2-1 loss. I mean, let's be realistic. PSG are a very good team. A loss tonight isn't a shock. But how we lose, or how we draw, or how we win, it's about how we play tonight. It's about how tactical we are, how disciplined we are, and how well we play. And that's the exciting thing tonight, because I think Ollie in the past has done really well in these sort of games. Just leave you with a story here as well. The Sun are saying that Manchester United value Phil Jones at £20 million. It's in the Sun, so it's probably a load of crap. But imagine if that was true. Phil Jones valued at £20 million. OMG. So Phil Jones is worth more than Tellez. I know he's got a bit more on his contract, but Phil Jones could have a 100-year contract. It doesn't make him worth any more money. He's worth what anybody will pay for him. And at the moment, I would say it's a little bit like buying a broken down tractor with no wheels, no engine, and it's been smashed to bits. It's not worth very much. So 20 million for Phil Jones. I tell you what, if Man United can do that, then I would be amazed. But look, somebody just said it there. Minia says, if it's brilliant moments from Neymar or Mbappe, fair play. We could play really well for 80 minutes tonight, and then in the last 10 minutes, Mbappe or Neymar could produce a moment of brilliance and we lose the game. If that happens, but we've played well, I think we as a fan base have got to say, well, look, we're not at that level yet, but we've given a good account of ourselves tonight. Maybe back at Old Trafford we'll beat them. Let's go and beat Leipzig. Let's beat the Turkish side. We can still get out of the group. PSG are favourites to win this group, and this game is in Paris. We shouldn't get anything tonight, so let's see what we can get. But I'm looking for a focused, disciplined, confident performance from Manchester United that gives us something to go into the Chelsea game and over the next few weeks. And I think we can do that. And that's why I'd go with that team, because I think our strength is the midfield. We've got more options in the midfield than we've got at centre-back. And a back five just basically puts players into centre-back who don't play centre-back and puts players who are good on the bench from the midfield. So I would go with more of that. But I think he will go with a back five, and I think he will play Pogba. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Smash a like on the video, subscribe if you're new. Very excited about the match tonight. Join us for the watch along. We've also got the player ratings, of course, the fan cams, the after-match show, everything lined up for tonight. It's going to be a big night. Whatever you think, it's a big, big night for Manchester United tonight. And for Manchester United fans, I intend to enjoy it. I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. I look forward to joining you on the watch along at about 7 o'clock tonight for the team news. Let's bring it on. Have a good day. Speak to you soon.